Welcome to the Horror Unmasked podcast,
where we unmask the monsters and explore the lore. I'm Amber.
And I'm Lily. And today we will be dissecting
M3GAN. Let's get plugged in. It starts with an ad for Perpetual Pets. It's a toy. And then all of a sudden it reveals just a girl in a car with her parents. She has said toy, and her parents are talking about the snow as they're driving through. It is very difficult. They talk about stopping, possibly. The cart slides. They get into an argument, and Katie, our young dear girl, goes to rescue her toy from the floor as it calls for help. Her parents stop the car and talk about getting some aid on the road, but suddenly a large truck crashes into them. It then changes to a city and the company that built the toy. A woman, Gemma, and her team are working together on a new project, but they argue about showing it. The project is revealed, and it is a life-size robotic doll. They apply a face to it and practice emotions, but it freezes on a creepy expression. The boss, David, shows up and is not happy because their Perpetual Pets tech is being copied, or possibly stolen, for half the price than what they're being sold for. Gemma is desperate to show off M3GAN, even if she's not ready. Unfortunately, M3GAN freezes and her head explodes. Because of the loss of Katie's parents, Gemma's sister, Gemma now takes custody of Katie and brings her home. Gemma has a difficult time dealing with how to take care of a child and struggles to bond with her. Gemma is even working late and unfortunately forgets that Katie is even there as she comes into her office. Gemma decides to show her what she's working on and asks her for advice. Well, then she suddenly sees Bruce, this large robot Gemma built during college. She put some goggles on it to give it a face, and they booted him up, showed him what he could do. And Katie loved him, and it actually interested her how he worked and foreshadows the part representing the brain of the robot. Gemma is excited by a statement made by Katie that if she had a toy like Bruce, she wouldn't need another toy. And so it cuts to Gemma rebuilding, then introducing Katie to M3GAN in what would look like a test play area. Katie pairs with M3GAN, which means they are bonded, and M3GAN will respond to Katie. David comes in and is angry about this secret thing Gemma built, but stays to see what it is, and he becomes very interested and immediately wants to market it as soon as possible. So they have to impress the CEO. Because of the nature of M3GAN, she has to stay with Katie in order to learn and adapt to her. So she goes home with Gemma and Katie. It then becomes a kind of promotional or informational part of what M3GAN does and how it reveals that it is meant to relieve the parents of having to remind or even inform their child of the correct or right things to do. It transitions to M3GAN and Katie playing outside, and Katie asks M3GAN to help her find an arrow for her as she's been shooting a toy bow and arrow. She sees it behind a hole in the fence, which the neighbor's dog keeps coming through. As M3GAN reaches through to get the arrow, the dog attacks her, and Katie comes to try and rescue M3GAN, but the dog bites Katie. M3GAN is not happy with the neighbor, and Gemma calls the police, but they are of no use. So in the middle of the night, M3GAN goes out and mimics the neighbor's voice to convince the dog to trust her and come to the fence hole. And when it does, you hear a yelp, and it's dragged through the hole. It then jumps to daytime, and the neighbor is calling for her dog, thinking he's run off. It then transitions to the big day of the reveal of M3GAN, and Gemma kind of guilt trips Katie into going to the test even though she's injured. The test for M3GAN goes off without a hitch. Even when Katie does break down crying, it only adds to the draw of M3GAN as she records a memory that Katie tells her of her parents and sings her a song to make her feel better. There is a reveal that David's assistant is the one leaking the technology to other companies, as he attempts to do the same with the M3GAN tech. Gemma is told by the CEO that she is now the most valuable asset to the business right now, as she is the creator. Later, Gemma is trying to talk to Katie about what happened, and she's only paying attention to M3GAN. So Gemma tries to shut her down so they can have a real talk, but Katie seems to be unnaturally attached to M3GAN. But they are able to have a conversation. You possibly start to see the negative effects of M3GAN on Katie, as she is with her counselor, and she is quiet and does not speak. Later, the counselor talks to Gemma and says Katie is forming an attachment to M3GAN that is unhealthy, as it should have been Gemma, and that Katie may now not see M3GAN as just a toy, but as a real person. She worries that M3GAN is so real that it is as if Gemma is trying to replace the part of a caregiver or parent, and that the toy may not help children grow. It transitions to the three at home eating dinner, and Gemma wants to talk about the possibility of school, and says it's not just about learning, but social interaction. Katie doesn't seem happy about going to school, but Gemma does tell her of an alternative outdoor school. When Gemma tries to act as her guardian and told her she can't bring M3GAN, Katie gets upset, and Gemma tries to stop her from walking away, but Katie is violently trying to pull away, and M3GAN turns and demands she let Katie go. Gemma tells her not to get involved in private conversations and tells her to shut off. And almost as a taunt, M3GAN asks if she's sure she wants her to turn off. With this subtle but wicked expression on her face, she shuts down. The scene then changes, and they are at the alternative school, and Katie convinces Gemma to let M3GAN sit with the other toys, while she is at the orientation. When the kids are paired up, Katie and the boy she is with do not get along, as he starts to bully her when they are alone in the woods. M3GAN hears this, and she activates and appears in the woods. The boy takes M3GAN and runs, and tries to get her to talk. He also, quite uncomfortably, mounts her while she's on the ground.
Ew.
Big ick. M3GAN then rips off the boy's ear.
Rightfully so.
And chases him till he runs into the road and is hit by a car and dies. At home, Gemma tries to comfort Katie, but it almost seems as if she's afraid of something else. Katie is clearly covering for M3GAN. The policemen show up and ask if they know where the neighbor's dog is, and of course Gemma doesn't know, but the neighbor accuses her of doing something. Later at night, Katie asks M3GAN if she pushed Brandon, the boy, into the road, and M3GAN diverts it and says that they both learned a lesson, that the world will have things in it that wish to cause harm, but M3GAN will always be there to protect Katie. The neighbor that night is out looking for her dog when she hears a sound and believes it to be her dog, but in fact it is M3GAN, and she proceeds to power wash / chemical the neighbor to death. The next morning the police show up, and an investigator thinks Gemma may know what happened to the neighbor and gives her his card. That night Gemma checks on M3GAN, and you can tell she's starting to think M3GAN may be responsible. Gemma's trying to look at M3GAN's data but is locked out, and M3GAN shows up and threatens Gemma, and Gemma tricks M3GAN into looking at a pen so she can shut her down. Katie is freaking out about M3GAN as the launch is tonight. Gemma and her team talk about how M3GAN may have changed her core function into letting her eliminate a possible threat, and they are worried, so they plan to run some diagnostics. Gemma knows that if M3GAN is responsible, that they would have to shut down the project. They decide to check the learning module so they have proof for David and why it needs to be shut down. Meanwhile, Katie is losing her shit over not having M3GAN. Katie is lashing out and slaps Gemma in her fit to see M3GAN. Katie realizes she did wrong but admits to feeling crazy without M3GAN. But Gemma reminds her she should feel this way, as she lost her parents and she should be expressing these emotions. Gemma states that M3GAN is a distraction and not a solution to Katie's feelings. Gemma and Katie have a coming together moment, and they decide to go home. Before they leave, however, Gemma gives Tess a call, and they agree to shut down the project, regardless of the results. Gemma tells them to not let M3GAN out of the lab, but clearly M3GAN takes over the call and mimics Tess's voice, saying, "Whatever you say, you're the boss," and ends the call. Tess and Kurt see that in the code, M3GAN had intercepted the call to Gemma. Then she shuts down the equipment in the lab. Spoiler warning ahead. Please skip. M3GAN then goes on the attack and a murderous rampage ensues. The creepy dance number is added as she grabs a large blade of a paper cutter. She kills David and his assistant. Then she leaves to find Gemma and Katie by hopping into a sports car. M3GAN is playing the piano and has forced the lights off and confronts Gemma about shutting her down. M3GAN is upset. M3GAN tries to convince Gemma to let her help take care of Katie while Gemma can focus on her career. Gemma tries the pen trick again, but M3GAN is not having it. This wakes Katie, and M3GAN threatens Gemma and tells her to tell Katie to not worry and go back to bed. The fight then ensues. Gemma pours water on M3GAN, which stops her for a moment, and Gemma can break free. She runs to her home lab, and Katie now knows something is up. Gemma uses a saw and cuts a gash in M3GAN's face/head. M3GAN plans to paralyze but keep Gemma alive. Katie sees this, and Gemma tells her to run, and M3GAN tries to convince Katie to trust her and that this is the right thing to do. M3GAN can see her emotions, and trust eventually comes to the top. But Katie has the Bruce gloves on, and she uses them to attack M3GAN, and she uses him to rip her in half. Of course, this does not destroy M3GAN, only hinder her. As she comes for Katie, Bruce falls on Gemma, and M3GAN climbs Katie, calling her an ungrateful bitch. Gemma smashes M3GAN's face in and removes the face, skin, and faceplate to reveal the core of M3GAN. And Katie takes a screwdriver and destroys the core, killing M3GAN. The police show up, and it is revealed to the audience that something, possibly M3GAN, has taken over the LC unit in the house as it turns to move to Lookout. The end.
Bum, bum, bum. Confirmed! There's gonna be a sequel!
Oh, there's gonna be a sequel?
It's confirmed! There's gonna be a sequel.
That's awesome.
Yep. But before we get into that,
this film was released January 6, 2023, so it is new.
Very new.
The fact that they actually have a confirmed sequel already and it's this new is fascinating.
Sequel.
It was directed by Gerald Johnstone.
Gerard Johnstone.
Story by Akela Cooper and James Wan.
Mm-hmm. We love James Wan.
And then
He did all the Conjuring stuff too.
Hell yeah. Our notable cast is Allison Williams as Gemma, Violet McGraw as Katie, Amy Donald as M3GAN, Jenna Davis as M3GAN's voice, Jen Van Epps as Tess, Stephen Garneau Monten, ooh, I probably butchered that, but as Kurt, and Ronnie Chang as David.
David was an interesting little character.
You know.
Anyway. But basically, the budget for this film was $12 million.
Wow.
And in the box office, it made over $176 million.
Not shocked. This film was amazing.
No, it was. It has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
As it deserves.
That's the highest Rotten Tomatoes we've had so far on any of the films.
That's worth it. I mean, it is amazing.
It is a Blumhouse and Atomic Monster film, so
Yeah,
I'm
so-
not really shocked.
Not shocked. I mean, come on, Blumhouse.
Blumhouse is really great. So good.
She's your new best friend and humanity's worst nightmare.
M3GAN stands for Model 3 Generative Android.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Homicidal technology.
Yeah. Made to look.
Like a person, like a child.
Apparently, M3GAN's design, John Stone has said, is that he looked to screen icons from the 50s like Audrey Hepburn, Grace Kelly, Kim Novak for inspiration, but wanted some 70s naturalism to counteract her synthetic nature. So the hair is 100% Peggy Lipton. and also influences from American Girl dolls. And I think that's very evident.
Yeah. I mean, originally she was supposed to be a brunette.
Really?
Yeah, she wasn't going to have like blue eyes, blonde hair,
I
but they
kinda
decided
like-
that the icy appearance added that discomfort.
Icy, but also I feel like if she were a brunette, it would have clashed too much with Katie and Gemma.
Yes, I feel like she's a good balance to it.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah. They wanted to really grace that line of realistic and fake, because they really wanted to make sure she was as realistic looking as possible. Because a lot of the inspirations, obviously Chucky, Annabelle, all that kind of stuff, they don't look as realistic or as human. It's kind of supposed to be that, like, from a distance you'd think it was just a girl until you got closer and like
and a lot
realized
of people in the movie did think that.
Oh yeah.
So
And there's another fascinating thing is that they had multiple M3GANs.
multiple
Many.
M3GANs. How many are we speaking?
So, okay. They did not get to do R&D, which is research and experimental development, with the M3GAN character. And they literally were having to figure it out while they were on set. They switched between multiple life-size M3GANs during the shoot, including animatronics, puppet, posable, and stunt M3GANs, as well as like Donald, who performed her scenes while wearing like a prosthetic M3GAN mask. And they were really wanting to make sure that she wasn't like overly puppeteered, because it's the idea that like the Muppets, they're meant to feel like they're alive and real.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, there had to be that teetering line where it's less human but minimal. And they were actually inspired by a martial arts legend. They were inspired by Bruce Lee and his economy of movement.
What
Yeah.
on earth?
So she moves in the most like economical way possible. and you have to think, even Amy Donald had to have that sensation and mentality while she was doing all of that. She never moves unless she's needed to. Like, we know she's alive, but she can do a lot with a look. She uses her face and her expressions.
Especially when she's sitting there with all the other toys.
Yes.
Like, just staring, just watching.
Yes.
Like, she's so still.
Her eyes were important.
Yeah.
Her eyes being uncomfortable to look at. And, like...
They really were.
That. She rode that Uncanny Valley hardcore.
I didn't know what Uncanny Valley was until doing research for this, which, if you guys don't know, because I didn't.
Oh, I did.
Basically...
think Polar Express.
A concept in robotics and animation to suggest that humans find certain humanoid representations unsettling when they closely resemble real humans, but have like just tiny little differences. So just having that line between...
A lot of video games have that problem.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of people who, because there's a lot more of the ability to scan people's faces into games,
right,
and they're real actors being scanned into games, it's that line ride between being like, is that really uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Or is that like fine? You know? And obviously with technology, it's going to get better, but then the Uncanny Valley is going to get even more and more intense.
Yeah, very much.
And just the idea that this girl, who was a gymnast and she's a dancer and all that kind of stuff, she really had to physically embody the character of M3GAN. And she did it really, really well, because she worked with a lot of like movement coaches specifically, because you have to think she's a real human being who has to act like an android,
who acts like a human being.
Yeah. Over time, because even they said as the film was progressing, it's supposed to be, she feels less robotic as the film progresses. Even in her motion, she feels it. She was coached by Jed Brophy from The Lord of the Rings, and Luke
Ooh.
Hawker from Thor: Love and Thunder.
Aw.
And stunt coordinator Ike Hammond from Black Adam. So these are all like pretty big films. She developed a lot of the physicality while becoming more human-like I said, as it went on, as she's around human beings. The whole mentality of M3GAN is that she has to learn and adapt to whoever it is that she is with. And it definitely maximizes the unsettling effect that she has on people. And because of her gymnastics abilities, Amy surprised the directors often. So, okay. This is the fucking coolest thing.
Okay.
It's called the Cobra Rise.
All right.
The forest scene.
Yeah.
When she does the thing where she comes off the ground, that was her really doing it. It's called the Cobra Rise.
Oh, where like it's her knees
where
yeah.
She's on the ground and he rips off the ear, and when she just like from her feet up like bends herself all the way up, that's her really doing it.
Wow. Okay, Amy.
And here's the other thing. So you know that run chase on the all fours
thing, yeah.
She actually did that shit.
Yeah.
And what was really cool in the film is that they left in and included the fact that the way that the actress gets into it is by going in a sideways like down sense. So like when you see her crouch down like that, that's actually how the actress gets into doing that run on all fours.
Wow.
So, and it just adds to that like animalistic intent to it. And it's fucking cool because it's definitely like predator chasing prey.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's a real person doing that.
I'm not gonna lie, watching the trailer or like little clips of that run.
Oh yeah.
It was a little comical. Out of context.
When you have context, it's terrifying.
It's creepy as fuck.
Oh yeah.
In context, absolutely. Then it makes sense, and then you're like, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Needed.
Yep.
Necessary.
Yep.
But yeah, that whole scene, I was like, oh my God, what is going to happen? Like,
oh yeah. And it's, during the production of it, just the idea, like the fact that so for the film itself, they actually had to almost prove that this technology could be made. In order for it to make sense as to how she was made.
Yeah.
Because it has a lot to do with, thankfully, they had a really fucking great team, entrusted, like Oscar nominated people entrusted with this.
As they should.
Adriette Moreau and Kathy Tess of Montreal-based Moreau FX Studio, the Weta Workshop. They're amazing. They contributed additional designs to the film. They built the Moreau people built the real doll, but everything and everyone thinks it's CGI. Like they built the doll, like they built it. All of these are puppets and animatronics and all this kind of stuff, and people always think that it's CGI, but they're real things that are being used.
Yeah.
It is the most modern visual of practical effects, and we'd mentioned this before, the use of more practical effects in modern films. It really shows what we can do as a people.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is that unfortunately, a lot of the filming for this was while the pandemic was still going on.
Yeah.
So they were having to work in different continents, and the production moved from like Canada to New Zealand, and they had to develop like 2D designs, 3D renderings, and molded like the full size M3GANs. It basically evolved from like a Tim Burton brunette to that icy blue-eyed appearance, Barbie come to life feel to it, which is funny as there's an actual real Barbie film that came out. But yeah. But they definitely wanted to find the creepiest way to capture M3GAN and make it different than stuff like Chucky and make it different than Annabelle.
I think it definitely is.
Yeah, and it's
because it's so much more lifelike.
Yeah, and that was their main thing, is that lifelike but uncomfortable.
Yeah, it really is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so much like a real person
Mm-hmm.
who's not, and is it's crazy that they are building these things like for real.
Yeah.
In real life.
Yes.
Not just these people for this film, but like people are actually
building technologies.
Yeah.
It's the idea of Siri
like these
and
things
Alexa
could actually happen.
Yeah. It's the AI and the unfortunate side of AI, of the AI art world, unfortunately.
I've got a lot of that.
You know, it's definitely the device and concept of M3GAN is not far off, just because of the fact that we've got. I have an Echo Dot in my room that can control the lights.
It's kind of like an Elsie.
Exactly. And it's, our phones we can talk to and ask it, Google or Alexa, and or Siri or whatever.
And the thing about AI is that it's everything that people put into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all their information. Yep. So there's so many risks and problems with AI. Yep. I've got like 6 different points here about unemployment.
Yep.
Because with, less need for human resources, companies can produce things without the need for humans and just use AI or different types of,
being an artist,
technology.
It's fucking scary.
Yeah, because, all of these chat GPT, Mid-Journey.
Yep. God.
People building their own businesses out of this.
There's a lot of companies that are trying to use it, and it's not good.
So there's that. There's sharing private information, because like I said, AI is everything that people put into it.
Yep.
So if somebody puts in, let's say this company puts in their code.
Yes.
For something, like I think Amazon was having an issue with this or something like that, where, they were they had to tell their employees not to put in company information because it was getting leaked out.
Yep.
So, and it's not even just that. It's like people's personal information that can come out into the public. There's copyright. Obviously, that's
that's the biggest problem, is that there's a lot of artists who are fighting against AI right now, including, as I'm a photographer. It's just the idea of AI art is literally actively stealing thousands of images of work and combining it into something.
So people could use AI to pass off work that's not their own and get paid for it. And so
there are people trying to
really
make
great.
AI movies. Someone made an AI movie, like an AI animated film.
Yeah, like videos, images. People are asking AI to like create songs for them that aren't their own. Like, it's a lot.
And the biggest problem is that it's actually getting worse than that, because AI is making fake people. There have been a lot of stuff about the fact that there have been images created of people at a party.
Yeah, and
they're
it's really
100%.
hard.
None of them are real people.
Yeah, I have that. That's like a form of cyberbullying.
Yes.
Because like can be used to create like really deep fake images or videos, and it's like so real without forensic traces.
There's been political scandals.
Yeah,
because of it.
And edited like digital media, so it makes it really difficult for humans or even other technology things to detect.
It's
that
really subtle.
It's fake.
It's becoming more and more difficult to pinpoint it. You can, if you pay attention to like where there should be hard lines and it's all soft, or if there's too much detail in a specific area. There's literally a movie poster of like a knockoff Ariel that is 100% made with AI filter, and there's been, like I said, political stuff. And unfortunately, the one big thing that used to be the dead giveaway was that the hands were always wrong. Well, now they're starting to get better at making hands.
It's all gonna get
and it's
technology just keeps
gonna get harder for people to do it, and it's dangerous.
And like another thing about that is like the discrimination.
Yes,
because obviously I just said this. it's what people put into it.
Yep.
And people have biases.
Yep.
And so it's, could create, AI could create a lot of things like that and be putting out information that is discriminatory. And,
yes.
like, not giving people, I don't know how.
Like, okay, Twitter, it was some social media, but I think it might have been Twitter, where a profile was made and it was supposed to be an AI. And it was supposed to learn from what people talked to about.
Yeah.
Eventually the AI became like this racist, bigoted, Nazi level dangerous thing, crazy. And they had to take it away because it was influenced by the conversations it was having.
Yeah.
And obviously people are always the problem with human beings is oftentimes when they encounter something that they can influence, they just want to be assholes and like do stupid shit by teaching it bad things. And I'm like, yes, it's fun to learn curse words as the first thing when you learn a new language.
Right.
Yes, it's fun, but you still have to like be respectful and also learn things that are like the colors and the numbers and like how to write and all that kind of shit. So it's the same concept. It's just unfortunately people only want the bad things.
Because this is definitely
to fuck around with it.
It all takes from what people put into it, and if you're putting your negative biases and discrimination and input onto things, that's gonna come back into these programs and these softwares.
Oh yeah.
And it's just another thing to make the world more shitty.
Oh yeah.
The last thing I have is the inaccuracies that AI can have, because it's a lot. It that's the last risk with it. But I did some research, and apparently there's a company revealed that by creating language models based around amino acids, AI was able to produce different proteins that have not actually been found in nature today. And, here's the thing. Obviously, these things, it said that they could help with medicines, vaccines, treatments for diseases, and things like that. But what if
the military gets their hands on it?
And it's like it could give you inaccurate things. Like
new ways of new technologies that can make way worse
really
things happen.
Shitty things.
Because medicine tends to come first and then fucking military comes second.
And what if you were to ask this AI to create a certain type of protein and you think it's one that they created that's good, but they give you an inaccurate...
The death of the human race.
It's crazy. Like, not even that. It's like scientists who are asking AI different things about physics or chemistry. Like, they could blow themselves up on accident just because of wrong information or literally anything. Chemical spills.
We do not need Terminator to be real.
No.
Thank you.
I mean,
it
was cool in the movie, but here...
no, thank you.
No. What's crazy is I know you don't have Snapchat.
No, because I had to get rid of it.
So basically, recently, Snapchat just updated and added a new feature called My AI.
Oh, shit.
And it's basically an AI bot with a little Bitmoji, and you can text them about anything. And they can give you information, they could give you advice.
That already makes me fucking uncomfortable. They could give you everything.
And the first time, I texted it, I was going through a little thing, and I was a little sad. So I, texted it, and I was, just letting it know, hey, can you give me some advice on this? And it did. It was so human-like, it freaked me out, and I haven't texted it since. And it just sits at the top of my chat, all my chat boxes.
Yeah.
And it makes me, I wish I could just get rid of it, because it's so
I
creepy.
would never do that because of that exact reason. People putting the deep, what if people admit to really deep things?
That's what I'm saying.
And just...
it's there as, a friend. And it reminds me so much of this whole M3GAN thing.
You know what? Sometimes... Okay. Here's the thing. Technology, specifically AI. This is very different. So this is a robot
Yeah.
This is not necessarily the same thing. It may be inspired, like Child's Play and all that stuff, like in dolls, but those are dolls.
Dolls.
That is a doll being inhabited by a spirit.
Yes.
This is a robot that has been given a training module that is meant to adapt to human.
Actual technology.
So here's the thing. Actual technology. So I mentioned Terminator. Now we have M3GAN. And it's a bot. It blew up in the box office.
Yeah.
What if this is like a subtlety in the way of the minds of human beings, where every so often a blockbuster movie about AI robotic technology being used and found to be a extreme danger, almost as like a warning, because you said there's going to be a second film. Guess what Terminator had? More films. And it's the idea of maybe this is like, maybe the own mental place of human minds are aware of like, okay, I want to express this issue because it's an issue again. And maybe it's one of those things where it's like warning humanity again of this thing.
I definitely think that that's true. I know people make some movies as warnings.
Yes.
Like, that's the whole thing, like the theme, the whole reason why they put them out to begin with.
Yeah.
I definitely think this is one of those things. Especially just with all of these things that we talked about with AI and all the problems that have,
and especially the blow up of the AI right now.
Especially right now. So it's like things in our world now. So about a month ago, I would say, it was about 4 a.m.
Yeah. And
basically, I don't know if you got this because I know we're in different counties. You might have gotten it.
What?
4 a.m, everyone's phone went off super loud as like a test alert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that did happen.
And me and my friend were talking. And basically she told me, we were getting into conspiracy theories, but she was like, yeah, they're going to be doing another one in about a month or two. And she was telling me, what if that's practice for what if, a nuclear bomb and it's 4 a.m. or something and we need to get up and we need to
get the fuck out. Yeah.
Because obviously AI, technology, it's so easy to press of a button.
Yeah.
The whole world is blown up. And so she thought that, she was telling me, she thinks that that's just our government's way of preparing us.
It's a warning. It's a warning
like a
step.
warning, yeah. Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. That is the rabbit hole of conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just it is that whole idea of social media
and its impact
on like how they're trying to warn us about things that are very real.
Yes.
And could happen.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Oh yeah, it's heavy. I mean, kind of stepping back into the film.
Yeah.
To make it a little lighter.
Just a bit though. It's horror.
Just a little bit, because it is still a horror film.
Yeah.
So obviously the doll eyes sent shivers down a lot of people's spines while watching this. But the worst part of it is the fact that, okay, so for the dance scene, the reason why the dance scene is so prolific is because she doesn't break eye contact.
Yeah.
That's the reason why it's so unsettling.
It's
is because she's staring down her prey.
She's staring David down.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna get you.
I mean, obviously this dance would of course blow up on TikTok because
and it did.
Classic. But it's the idea that usually, like, when you're dancing, you don't always make eye contact with whatever you're looking at. And just the idea that...
Unless you're trying to, like, seduce someone.
Yeah.
You're doing a little sexy dance.
Or threaten them with a dance.
That too. I don't know. Oh, yeah, like a little...
Your motives.
Yeah, a little dance battle.
Yeah. But it's the idea of making eye contact. And she's just doing this... There's just this girl who's doing this little dance.
Yeah.
That's making eye contact with you and is ready to fucking kill you. Is so creepy.
Super unsettling. But that specifically is why it got a lot of traction, especially with the TikTok community. And because they were getting a bunch of younger audiences wanting to come watch this movie, they had to make it less gory. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes me sound crazy, but
I mean, for the level of gore that this film does have, it's not too bad.
it's not bad at all. There's like 3 parts.
Yeah. Because they didn't want to make it sterile. They didn't want to make it like clean, but they did want to have weirdly like a natural side to it, like a natural side.
Yeah.
So
I definitely think that is there.
You know, you never see the death of the... It's almost like the kills that she does is slowly progressively worse because the death of the dog is subtle.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it.
Yeah.
The ripping off of the ear, you see it, but you don't see the death of the child.
No, he just
is hit, and then the next thing you see is an ambulance with a body bag.
Yeah.
Then even with the neighbor, it's her face, like the cheek rips off, but then and the real true you see someone die on screen is David and the assistant.
And his assistant. Yeah. I like that because it just makes her creepier and creepier. Yeah. Like you said, she's getting more and more lifelike and more human from.
Also, this bitch just jumps into an expensive ass sports car.
Though, yeah,
she's child size.
Honestly, girl boss.
Yeah,
that whole scene was very girl boss of her. She just like walks right out of the what were they having? It was the opening. It was the presentation.
It was supposed to be like the introduction. Yeah, first night.
The intro party or whatever, and she just walks out of that bitch and hops into the sports car and drives away.
And then the elevator opens and one of the news people sees it and
fucking screams. Oh my god, that honestly was kind of funny because they were like, "All right, kids, let's act like we're super excited."
Yeah,
and then scream.
Oh yeah. I also think it's funny that there was that level of like acting for that. Like the idea that they had to convince the kids like be super excited.
Yeah.
When in like almost like it's almost like they were preemptively preparing for just in case if the kids couldn't give a shit.
Right.
Because children, as everyone knows, are monsters. Specifically of that age range where they're like they would break your soul by being like, well, I don't really like it.
Oh yeah, when Katie slapped Gemma,
it's not cool. Yo, every time Katie had a horrific, when she didn't have M3GAN and she was
throwing the fit, I was like, Gemma, take care of your kid.
Like even
put her in her place.
Like even the scene of when she wants to take M3GAN with her to the alternative school.
Yeah, and
she gets up and Gemma goes to grab her arm to kind of be like, yo, stop for a second. I'm not done talking to you about this. And she's like
freaking out.
It's like she's encountering a killer.
Like an actual, like, yeah.
It's like a scene out of a but it was I don't know, a gentle, Friday the 13th hey. or a Halloween film. It's like you're trying to get away from a killer.
Even
and
though Gemma was just
her family
trying to
just have a conversation with her. And I understand it's a kid, but like the violent reaction she had and every time that she has that violent response like is crazy.
Basically, this movie is free birth control.
Yes. Yes, it is.
For some of it. I mean, Gemma and Katie do have some wholesome moments.
They do. They have some wholesome moments, but it's also one of those things where clearly, obviously, Gemma's chosen her career over having a family. As even when Katie first gets to the house and it's this like super clean, super orderly, like any toy you would see that's on like the bookshelves and stuff like that are actually just collectibles. It also does 100% pain me when they first meet the counselor and she fucking tells there's these toys in boxes that are collectibles, but this counselor like makes Gemma feel guilty that she didn't open them and make make Katie play with them. And it pissed me off because she ended up fucking just ripping the box open like a heathen.
No, literally.
And I'm like, why'd you rip the box? You could have gently
put it back.
You could have gently opened the box to then put the thing back inside. Why did you rip the box apart in anger?
I get it because she wanted to show the
that you didn't care.
Yeah, to show the counselor lady or child protective, whoever it was. I don't know.
But you also can't tell people how they can and cannot live.
Right.
If someone wants to collect fucking action figures and toys that are historical and meant something, then you have no right to force them, whether they have a kid in their custody or not, that they have to open them and allow the kid to play with them. No.
And then she was just trying to explain to Katie how the
It
toy
fucking
worked.
worked.
And the counselor was like,
Just
let
roll
Katie
it.
figure it out.
Just roll it.
Even though that's not what it was.
That's not how it fucking works. I would have been so pissed, and I would have looked at the counselor and I've been like, you need to shut up. I'm actually explaining how this toy works so Katie gets more enjoyment out of it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, because that's my
job. Because rolling this around like a effing ball means nothing.
Nothing. Like, I can sit here and I can tell you how it works so that you can have the most fun because it's what I do for a living.
I literally effing make toys. Why are you trying to stop me from explaining how a toy works? You literally just asked me to rip a toy out of a box when I am a creator of toys and may collect them out of respect and reverence for them.
Redonkulous.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like being an art collector and then just like painting over a Picasso to paint your own shit over it. Do you know how heartbreaking that would be?
Oh my God.
You have a counselor over and you have a Picasso and they tell you, oh, just paint it white and let the kid paint on it.
Well, Picasso, if it were Van Gogh.
Let's say they had a Van Gogh.
Claude Monet, please. Please don't hurt me like that.
They had any of those and they were like, no, just paint over it white and then just let the kid paint it. Like, ow.
Jeez.
Let nerds be nerds and let them have their shit. Just because it's a fucking toy doesn't mean that you have a right to tell them that they have to pull it out of the box.
Yeah.
Or that it's stupid. There's sometimes sentimental reasons why people collect shit.
Yeah.
As a person who collects shit. But 9 times out of 10, I usually take them out of the box.
No.
For me.
Funko Pops, out of the box.
Yeah.
Those people, those psychopaths who keep them in the box, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're one of those people who do that.
I used to be.
I can't.
But I can't do it anymore.
The whole point of me is so I could see their beautiful, cute little faces.
Yeah.
Of characters that I absolutely love.
I understand that it's like, if you purchase something that is like a true collectible, like there are Funko Pops that are like,
yeah,
super collectibles, but I mean like Star Wars action figures and things like that. Stuff that was either like an accidental misprint and things like that are highly valuable things. So like I understand those being kept in their boxes, but
right.
General stuff, nah.
For me, I don't know, because there's a Funko Pop I want of Steve from Stranger Things, and my mom ordered it for me.
Oh shit!
And the person never sent it, and it makes me so mad. But I know if I were to get it, I wouldn't keep it in its box. It's really expensive.
Who gives a shit? You need to tell them that they need to fucking get her money back.
Yeah, I need to talk to my mom about that. Like,
they literally just scammed her.
The amount of, like, I've wanted this Funko Pop for years. I
know. You even tried to ask me for one.
What?
I remember you were mentioning it, and I wanted to find one for you, but I couldn't.
Aw, I love you. But yeah, she told me she got it for me, and I cried because I've been wanting it for so long, and it's
you have to trust the source.
It's Steve with his bat. It was on Amazon. I'm pretty sure.
Then you need to report that to Amazon and be like,
hey, Amazon, if you're listening,
fucking stole money.
If you're listening, give me my Steve with his bat from season 2 or season 1. It was season 1.
But like, that's some bullshit.
Yeah. It was Steve with his bat from season 1, his fit from season 1. And he looks so cool. And I wanted to put him next to Dustin because, you know, they're my dream team. My little duo. But yeah. But, so, yeah. I get people keeping things in their boxes. But for me, I'm not one of those people because I'm going to love and cherish it forever.
Yeah.
And when I die, that's something that, you know, my relatives can deal with. They can deal with the pain of not having the box. But and don't judge me about my Funko Pops, okay? I get that some people are like, yeah, Funko Pops on bookshelves are not cute. I don't care.
They need to SFF you.
I don't care. I really
don't. Put mine so that they're like displayed, like like I got my
little dragon Harry Potter.
My dragon Harry Potter.
I love that.
Up there so that he's like displayed.
Mm-hmm.
So he looks
I like
out.
doing that, yeah.
And I got my Green Goblin over there, like up top, like he about to fuck shit up.
Mm-hmm. I like posing them in like little scenes.
Yeah.
Like it's like in a setting.
I have my Simba up there, but he's got my a little camera ornament hanging from his tail, so he's holding it up for me.
Aw.
It's very cute, and I love it.
It is very cute. I have so many.
Yeah.
I counted. I have over like 20.
So basically what we're trying to say is that, like, dolls are cool and all. Also, I have a fear.
Oh.
I have a
yeah.
fear of dolls. If that was not evident or obvious.
You'll definitely figure that out more when
real soon. You're going to figure that out real soon. Because we're going to be real soon doing a bigger project.
Mm-hmm.
So be hyped for that. It's going to be
ever.
a two-parter.
A two-parter. But I get why.
It is a series of films. Try and guess what it is.
If you can't figure it out, if it, because there's, we just mentioned dolls, so
yes,
maybe leave your guesses.
But yeah, just in general, like, I fucking am terrified for when I have to start watching Child's Play and shit like that. But
it's not bad. It's really.
It's just one of those things where it's like
more gory than it is.
Yeah,
scary.
Which is why I'm not as worried about it. But it's definitely one of those things where it's just like, dolls have always freaked me out. When I was a girl, I would always hide them. I just didn't like them.
Which I get because, dolls have always been associated, various cultural and psychological symbolism things.
Yeah.
Innocence, childhood, companionship. But it's also, they can symbolize, the supernatural.
Oh, yeah.
And the embodiment of malevolent spirits.
Yep.
In certain folklore. So, it's unsettling to people. Especially with their real human features.
Yes.
Like their glassy eyes and realistic hair.
Well, yeah, because
porcelain-like skin.
Because a lot of the time is that us as humans, we're not like biologically programmed well enough to deal with humanoid themed objects.
Right.
Which is why we really don't end up liking them, because sometimes they look too real, and we shy away from that because of the fact that we just can't deal with that.
I think that's why personally I stuck with, Barbie and Cabbage Patch Kids, because they weren't.
They were
really
human, but they were cartoony.
Yeah. Whereas I never liked American Girl doll. I don't think I ever wanted one.
My mom had porcelain dolls in my room and I fucking hated it.
Why would she keep that in there with you?
Oh, they went into the closet so fast. Oh, and like, the Robo Alive toys and shit like that, like the living cats and shit. I tried. And then that thing went in the fucking closet because I couldn't handle it. Cats are cute.
Just stick to the real thing.
Stick to the real thing.
If you want a lifelike doll, have a child.
Yes.
If you want a fake pet, get a real one.
Or, if you want a lifelike doll but don't want to have to deal with the taking care of the thing, be a daycare attendant or some fucking get a job with children.
Where you can give the kids back.
Yep.
Even though kids are sometimes creepy. Oh my god, I could dive into
kids
that rabbit hole.
Kids are always fucking creepy.
Okay. This might be a conversation for another time. However, I went down a rabbit hole of crazy shit kids say.
There's a lot of scary shit that crazy
opened up a world,
kids say.
Like an entire world of where we go when we die.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yep.
There's so many instances of kids like it talks about reincarnation and like reincarnating into your same family. Like basically a lot of kids when they're young, like 3 to 4 range.
Yep.
Talk to their parents, and some of them are like, I remember when I was your mommy or your daddy and I was taking care of you, or like your grandma or your grandpa.
Yep.
Like so many instances of that. Or like pointing to a picture and saying, that's me.
That happened to me.
Like it's crazy. How? When? Where? I gotta know.
When I was a little girl. My mom, okay, before I finish this story, people, don't freak the fuck out. Yes, I am a white woman. Chill out, please. Thank you. So when I was a little girl,
yes,
my mom always said that when I would go into I don't even fucking remember this, but I was very little, and she said that I would always go whenever there'd be like, like the hair care stuff.
Yeah.
I would always go to the stuff for black women and black girls. Mm-hmm. I would talk about fishing, and I'd talk about living in a city, and I talked about the fact that I had died, that I was killed.
Wow.
That I had been killed by a gunshot.
Wow.
And my mom kind of figured out that she believes that in possibly a past life I was like a little black girl that was
Yeah.
living in like an urban city kind of place,
Mm-hmm.
and just unfortunately was killed too young.
Wow.
But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that's a real thing that people do. I mean, there's stories of kids being born and then being like, I was married to this person and that person's still alive, and they actually go introduce the kid to that person's to like the widowed husband or wife, and that child's like, oh my god, and like gets emotional and tense about it and knows things about them that there's no fucking way they would know.
It's crazy. That reminds me of an instance. So basically there was a murder that happened.
Yeah.
And there was a little boy who said that in his past life he was killed, and it was like just a few years ago, because this little boy's like 3.
Yeah.
And it was just a few years ago that this murder happened.
Yep.
He was like, I was killed, remembered who killed him.
Oh my god.
Went to that guy and he confessed and like showed where the body was.
See, told you.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's because the way it's how they always say it, especially in spirituality. They always say, the closer you are to death.
Yes. So when you're really young
or really old,
or even if you're
you
just...
are more open
Yeah.
to things around you.
Yeah.
And you are more able to tap into that side of your mind that a lot of people after a certain time shut off.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not help it grow, it will close off.
Yeah.
It's like a a plant. If you don't feed it, it will die.
Right. I have another little conspiracy.
Another conspiracy?
It's small. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like honing that sense.
Yes.
It just reminded me of this.
Yeah.
Like, we obviously have our five senses.
Yes.
Taste, touch, sight, sound.
Sight,
smell,
taste, touch, sound.
So think about this. What if you didn't have a nose? You wouldn't know that sense even existed.
Nope.
So what if we're missing a body part or a few that would allow us to experience other senses that we don't even know exist?
Or what if certain body parts, like the eyes, stopped growing a certain way that allowed us to see things?
Yeah.
Or our ears stopped growing in a way that allowed us to hear things.
Yeah.
I mean, you know when people do the thing where they mess with their ears and they make them wiggle?
Yeah.
Like, you can't see it now, people listening, but I'm making my ears wiggle.
I can confirm.
But that's actually like an antiquated part of human species. As before, they've theorized that possibly humans used to have ears that would more almost like push back and like kind of so that they had a stronger hearing range, but that over time we no longer needed it. And that's that same concept. It's just the idea of, is it also that we haven't developed enough in our brain for it to kick in?
Because we're only using, what, 10%?
Only so much. Yeah, we are not even using our entire brain. If we were using more of our brain,
oh my god,
holy shit, I don't even know what that would mean.
I think I don't know. I really don't.
Bitch, there's like superpowers and fucking dope shit just hiding in the brain, and it's like, haha, fucker, you only get to use like 10% of me.
And you will never untap that.
Man, I want superpowers.
Right? That would make the world so much easier. Wouldn't even need a M3GAN.
Would not need a M3GAN.
Would never
no,
need AI.
You wouldn't need a M3GAN. Some
technology.
people would become the M3GANs.
Ooh.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know,
however,
I always wish to be like a part of specific like universes and shit, and then I also remember that there are bad people who use those same things for evil means.
Yeah.
And I'm like, god damn it.
Yeah.
There is no utopia.
However, what if it's because we're not using more of our brain, we are more hateful.
Yep.
And we are more...
Oh, that's a fact.
...biased and discriminatory towards other things that we don't understand.
Oh, that's a fact. We live in America.
Well, this got really real.
We live in, I'm not going to say the state, but you know, not great shit's going down.
Nope. Let's just say it's become a little bit of a fascist society up in here, or it's heading that direction.
Oh yeah. Too many bad things happening.
Too many.
Too many. That got real fast.
It did get really real.
To kind of bounce back. But overall, this film is really fascinating. It's a nice mental thing, but it's also just it's also a fascinating dynamic of, it also makes me think of, you know, when parents give children like iPads and shit really early.
Yeah.
As a distraction.
iPad kids. It's the same thing.
It's the same concept. It's the idea
replacing
like, okay, care,
yeah.
and it's also the idea of also not letting the kid grow or like express their real emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
because you just shove a screen in front of their face and they're going to be occupied forever.
Yep.
Instead of like feeling and experiencing the outside world and those emotions that come with it.
A distraction, but not a solution.
Haha.
Fucking Gemma, you're right.
Gemma, yeah. Maybe it took her a little bit to realize that.
To realize it.
But I hope...
Because she really did essentially build M3GAN as a, like, dear God, please, something else take care of this kid because I don't know how to.
She really just... It was, like, thrown on her when she clearly did not want that life.
Yeah. Like, she made the promise to her sister that she would take care of her. But I don't think she realized the level of what that means.
Or ever expecting anything bad to happen to her family. But yeah, I just hope the parents of the world, real life, realize that technology can't replace you.
Yes.
Because you are important and your kids need you.
Mm-hmm.
To
100%.
be there. But yeah.
Damn.
Just some maybe therapy session, conspiracy theories.
Maybe some therapy would help the world.
The world, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good, my dude.
Yeah. Killed that, crushed it.
Our next episode is going to be our session 3 chit chat.
A little chitty chat.
Again, follow us on our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Horror Unmasked. Listen on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes at Horror Unmasked Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Horror Unmasked Podcast.
Or even email us.
Yeah.
If you have any suggestions or anything you want us to talk about in a chit chat episode.
Yeah. At horrorunmasked@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, my dude.
So I guess the only thing to ask is, will you fear?
Or will you fear not?